Chapter 3 begins on page 18 with pictures of an insect collection, a moth collection. And then on page 19, it's kind of a tan color, and it says collections. And so let's read the quote by Father Armand David. All the sciences which study the works of creation tend to the glory of their author. They are praiseworthy in themselves and holy in their goal. To know the truth is to know God. Turn your book to page 20, and the first thing we always do is look at the major headings so we know what we're going to encounter in this chapter. Page 20 says collections in black letters. Page 21 says leaf collections in yellow or tan or whatever that is. And page 23 says insect collections. And then down at the bottom of page 23, there's a bio on Father Armand David. And let's see, look at page 25 is the whole page is a figure 3.13. And that's it for the whole chapter. So let's start reading on page 20. Sit up in a good position for learning and follow along with your eyes as well as your finger. Page 20. Collections. I found the nest of a phoebe, a soft nest of moss lined with delicate hairs and fibers. This nest, however, was different. Never have I found another like it. This nest still had the tiny skeletons of the baby birds in it. What happened to the mother bird, I wondered. 30 years later, I still have that and many other nests. I've enjoyed the fun and exercise of finding nests in the fall of each year. Why the fall? I learned about the birds that made each nest. I came, like Longfellow's Little Hiawatha, to learn of every bird, its language, learned of them and all their secrets, where they built their nests in the summer, where they hid themselves in winter. Since then, hundreds of other children have enjoyed seeing my collections. They have studied the way that each nest is made, each as different as the species of birds that constructed it. Collections are made to learn from, to enjoy, to preserve specimens for later, and for the beauty of the objects. Collections are especially important to life scientists, since discovering and classifying different plants and animals is one of the best ways to learn about all creatures, great and small. For this life science course, you will collect either leaves or insects. Of course, you may collect both on your own, but choose one for this assignment. Seeds and seashells are other interesting collections to collect on your own. For your collection, you must have at least 10 different specimens. Page 21, up at the top in tan, it says leaf collections. For each specimen, look for 1 or 2 medium-sized leaves. Never take more than 2 or 3 leaves from any one branch. Make sure to ask permission before collecting from an ornamental tree, a tree in someone's yard. Remember not to collect poison ivy, poison oak, or poison sumac. As you collect the leaves, be sure to record information about the tree or bush from which you took the leaf. This will help you to identify the leaf later on. Key features to record include the shape of the tree, the texture of the bark, the shape of the leaf, the spacing of the leaves on the branch, the site of the tree, and the type of fruit produced by the tree. See the chart below for the basic features of the trees. And let's look at that chart on the bottom of page 21. So you're looking at all of these things: the shape of the tree or bush, the site moisture, the bark, the leaf type, the leaf shape, the edge shape, and the fruit that's on the plant. So these are the things that you will write down when you collect each leaf. So you're going to want to take a notebook with you when you do your leaf collecting. Let's keep reading on page 21, right in the middle. To preserve your specimens, place each leaf between 2 sheets of newspaper, along with a card showing the date collected, the name of the leaf if it's known, specific notes about where the leaf was collected, and the name of the person who collected the specimen. Turn your book to page 22, please. Let's keep reading up at the top. Do not allow leaves to overlap in the newspaper. Put several layers of newspaper between the sheets with leaves on them. Place the stack of newspapers and leaves in a dry, warm place with several large, heavy books on top of it. After a week, the leaves will have dried out. Remember that they are now fragile and will crumble instead of bend. Identify each of the leaves in your collection using a standard field guide to trees along with the information you recorded when you collected the leaves. Cut out a 2 cm by 4 cm label for each leaf. On each label, write the name of the tree, the date collected, the place collected, like the town and the state, and the collector's name. Mount the leaves and labels with clear drying glue. Spread a thin layer of glue over every part of the back of each specimen and place it carefully on a stiff piece of paper. Be sure no excess glue is on the edges or coming through the leaf. Glue the label near the leaf. Put a sheet of newspaper over the leaf and label, and then place them both under a heavy book. Immediately lift the book and the paper to check if any glue has come out from under the edges of the leaf or the label. If it has, clean it up and use a new sheet of newspaper. Put a book back on top and allow the glue to dry. Store your collection in a dry place. Go to page 23, and there you can see we're going to start reading about insect collections at the top. But before we do that, let's just go ahead and read the bottom of page 23 about Father Armand David. Armand David, who was born in 1826 and died in the year 1900, was a Vincentian priest and a talented naturalist who collected hundreds of wild animals, plants, rocks, and fossils from China, including previously unknown species like the giant panda. Father David originally went to China as a missionary, but he was such a talented naturalist and that scientists in France asked that he be allowed to devote himself to collecting the plants and animals of China. His superiors agreed because Father David's scientific work would help gain the support for the Chinese missions. Now, Father David loved science, but he had spent all of his life dreaming of being a missionary. Another person might have been disappointed at being told to give up his dream, but not Father David. In his humility, he knew that it did not matter whether the Chinese were evangelized by himself or by another missionary. He simply did his best in the job his superiors had assigned to him. Although he would not be directly involved in evangelizing the Chinese, Father David understood that by supporting his fellow missionaries, he would still be a missionary. Father David's life as a naturalist certainly was not an easy one. He traveled thousands of miles through the wildest regions of China, enduring poor nutrition, dangerous terrain, climate extremes, illness, fatigue, and encounters with bandits and hostile natives. What gave him strength to persevere through these trials? Father David revealed his secret in his diary. The Christian's feet touch the ground, but his heart is in heaven, which he never loses sight of, and towards he still works. Whether in the quiet of a monastery or in the whirlwind of earthly affairs, the Christian lives calmly and walks with firm footsteps towards his goal by conscientious fulfillment of his duties. Father David became a great scientist because he did everything for the glory of God. Let's read at the top of page 22, insect collections. There are more kinds of insects on earth than there are of all other members of the animal kingdom put together. Insects reproduce rapidly. They may be found almost anywhere. Especially good places to look for insects include on flower blossoms, in old logs and stumps, near ponds, and around outdoor lights. Spiders, because they have more than 6 legs, are not insects. Do not collect them. Use caution if you collect bees or wasps. Collect the live or dead insects in a plastic container. Do not use glass jars. This author has scars on his right hand to clearly indicate why no glass jars should be used. You must note where, such as town and state, and when, the date that each specimen was collected, and who collected it. The insects are killed by putting them in a killing jar. The killing jar should be glass, and it should stay put in one place. Be sure to keep it out of reach, page 24 up the top. Keep it out of reach of small children. With adult supervision, soak a cotton ball with methyl acetate or nail polish remover for use in the killing jar. And there's a caution sign. It says, caution, if a substance kills insects, it is usually not good for you to inhale. Clearly label the jar as a killing jar, even though methyl acetate is not considered highly toxic for humans. Your insects should be pinned soon after killing. Once they dry out completely, the insects will be very fragile. Use a pinning board or a shoebox top. The red dots in figures 3.7 through 10, down below, show where to insert the pin for each type of insect. Regular straight pins rust and break off, so you will want to use size 3 insect pins. Put 2 labels on each pin, as shown in figure 3.11. Make your labels 1.3 centimeters by 2.5 centimeters. Write on one label the place where it was collected, the date collected, and who collected it. On the second label, write the name of the insect and who identified it, if different from the collector. Use the simplified key to Class Insecta to help you identify your specimens, which is figure 3.13. Store your collection in a small box. Glue 2 pieces of cardboard to the bottom of your box to hold the pins in place. Your collection should be scientifically accurate but also aesthetically pleasing. That is, you should carefully place the specimens and the labels so that your collection is nice to look at. Keep your collection dry and cool. Dermestid larvae, also known as carpet beetle worms, can ruin a beautiful collection. Keep the collection sealed tightly. Fumigate once or twice a year with a general household insecticide. Let's look at the side of page 24. Okay, so up at the top on 24 you see there's a picture of a beetle, cockroach, cricket. Do you see the red dot in the middle of the beetle? That's where you would put the pin on a beetle, cockroach, or a cricket. Underneath that there's a grasshopper, and see where the red dot is, right in the chest area? That's where you would pin a grasshopper. True bugs, there's a triangle on the back. See where you put the red dot. And there's a bee down at the bottom of 24. That's where you would put the pin through that. And on 24 down towards the bottom, there shows the 2 different types of labels that you need. And if you're going to pin a tiny insect, you can see that you can't actually put the pin through it, but you glue the tiny insect to a piece of paper and you just pin the paper. Okay, now on page 25, you have to look at that. This will help you to identify your insects, okay? And so you just follow the chart here. So you have an adult insect, it has 6 legs, and it has 3 body parts. So the first thing you ask yourself, does it have 1 pair of wings or does it have 2 pair of wings? So look at your animal and follow the chart, okay? And this will help you to figure out what kind of insect that this is. If you need any help with that, let me know. And that's it for chapter 3. Bye-bye.